Right now at 10, a Portage police officer is in jail, what he's being accused of and how the department is reacting. And looking for investors, the local finalists vying for a chance to speak with Silicon Valley firms this fall. Plus, the Packers return to Lambeau Field to end out the preseason, how the Green and Gold's head coach is feeling about Jordan Love's recovery. And that's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sarah Carlson. Eric Franke is off tonight. We start with some developing and disturbing news tonight. A Portage police officer is in jail. Maddie Heimsch joins us with what led to the arrest and what it means for the officer and the department.
Sarah, Officer Cameron Coronado is facing 1 count of physical abuse of a child, intentionally causing bodily harm, and 1 count of disorderly conduct in the form of domestic abuse. According to a criminal complaint we got from the Columbia County Circuit Court, Coronado forcefully shoved a pacifier down the throat of his 6-month-old son, leaving the child bleeding from the mouth. Coronado's wife told police that as a result, the baby had trouble swallowing and seemed to be in pain. She brought the baby to a hospital where a CT scan revealed bleeding in the child's brain. Coronado's wife also told police that in July he threatened to, quote, kill those expletive kids when the couple's aforementioned baby and 4-year-old were crying. That night, the complaint alleges he left holes in the drywall outside their bedroom, punching and kicking the wall when she hid inside the room with the children. Now, this is all alleged by that criminal complaint, leading to Coronado facing those charges of physical abuse of a child and domestic abuse. Coronado is on paid administrative leave from the Portage Police Department and is currently booked in the Sauk County Jail. Now, his wife told police she hadn't reported his conduct to law enforcement in the past because he himself is a police officer. A court date for Coronado's case has not yet been set.
All right, thank you so much, Maddie. And to weather now after a stormy start to the week. Nice weather moving into the region. Alex has more on our forecast.
Finally, and boy, do we deserve it, in my opinion. Temperatures are going to be in the 70s to near 80 for a good portion of the next few days, and 80s near normal. Then watch what happens as we head towards Sunday, Monday. Those are not low temperatures. Those are our high temperatures. Sunday and Monday barely getting out of the 60s, and that, just for your FYI, those are the temperatures that we'd see at the end of September. So we're basically going to march all the way to the end of September-like readings in this forecast before we moderate just a bit back up into the 70s. But it will be refreshing, and we will also have to deal with some fall-like fog over the course of the next couple of days here in southern Wisconsin, perhaps down as low as a half a mile as we go into Wednesday morning. Still a half a mile in Wisconsin River Valley around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning before we start to see that fog burn off late morning heading into the afternoon. When you visit me again in just a little bit, when I come back in a couple of moments, we're going to track fog and we'll see how the visibility, how low it may go as we go into Wednesday night, going into Thursday morning coming up.
All right, thank you, Alex. Health officials are reporting a possible measles exposure in Beloit. It was at the Beloit Pilot Travel Center on Milwaukee Road, and experts believe it happened between 11:45 and 2:30 on August 4th. Officials report that an out-of-state traveler visited that center before testing positive for measles. As of today, 9 cases have been confirmed in Wisconsin this year. 1 person is dead and 2 others injured after a crash on I-3990 near Edgerton. It happened a little before 3:30 this afternoon. An investigation showed a sedan crossed the median and was hit by a truck. The sedan's passenger was killed, and this crash is still under investigation. Severe floodwaters did significant damage to Milwaukee earlier this month, and some homeless people that lived next to the Kinnickinnick River are still unaccounted for. Outreach groups, Street Angels, and Mr. Bob's Under the Bridge were told that 2 people died in the floods and at least 3 are unaccounted for.
I gave up on humanity that day, you know, because I thought about nobody came down here to see if we were okay.
They're the reason why we're out there every week. We call them our friends because they are our friends.
Now, both organizations are in contact with the medical examiner's office while continuing to serve those impacted. Earlier today, FEMA announced it will be headed to Milwaukee Thursday to assess all of that flood damage. And several people are displaced after a tree fell at a home in Madison yesterday. You can see that here. It fell onto a house on the 4900 block of Flat Avenue due to the strong storms. Crews safely evacuated 3 people and no one was injured. However, the home was determined to be uninhabitable and the residents were relocated. Well, the tracks from a train derailment in Dodge County are now back open. Last Friday, about 30 train cars derailed, causing some of the crude oil it was carrying to spill. Luckily, no one was injured and the area has now been secured. But according to a spokesperson, there are still environmental and hazardous materials teams on site.
We just had that train derailment 2 years ago on the exact same line of track there. So there was a lot of questions. How did it happen? What happened?
The official cause of the derailment is still under investigation by the National Transportation Board. This is the second time in 2 years that train cars derailed at that very location. A new bill working its way through the state capitol would allow Wisconsinites who received gender-affirming care while they were minors to sue their doctors later in life. The bill's author says it's important because Wisconsinites did not have an option like this before. Opponents of the bill say that patients can already sue doctors for medical malpractice, and this just perpetuates conservative propaganda. Tonight, the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce held their 12th annual Pressure Chamber competition. This annual Shark Tank-style contest sees 5 finalists pitch ideas to a group of national investors and a live audience. It's all for a chance to win the Golden Suitcase, which guarantees a spot in the Chamber's meetings with top Silicon Valley investment firms this fall.
Yes, our primary responsibility as an organization is to represent the companies that invest in us. But we also have an opportunity and I think a duty to figure out who is next and not protect incumbency.
The 5 finalists join a cohort of past Pressure Chamber participants that have collectively raised almost $1 billion. Well, fixing and remodeling things around the house could get a little more expensive. Home Depot announced prices on some of its items are likely to go up, citing the ripple effect that tariffs are having on products. Home Depot says just under 50% of its inventory is imported from suppliers outside of the U.S. And the latest consumer price index shows grocery prices rose in July, and everyday staples saw significant cost increases in last year as well. Coffee is up nearly 15% and ground beef just over 11%. Egg prices are falling after being hit by avian flu, but are still up more than 16%.
My budget has become double for food shopping.
Food prices behave in a way that I describe as rockets and feathers. Food prices rise quickly as a result of upstream costs, but they come down slowly, if at all.
Experts add that tariffs on aluminum and steel implemented in March are impacting the price of groceries now, and that's showing up in higher costs for canned foods and beverages. But there is one bright spot about U.S. food supply. Only about 10% of grocery store food is imported and now subject to further tariffs. Well, the News 3 Now Back to School drive may be over, but the work isn't over yet. Today, volunteers helped to sort all the donations that came in for our Stuff the Bus campaign. And there are still shifts available to help out this week. And it's ahead of the big distribution day at all of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County on Thursday. A link to learn more on how you can help can be found on our website at channel3000.com. And now to some Packers news. Jordan Love is still recovering from his thumb surgery, and he won't play in the preseason game against the Seahawks this weekend. But he is out on the field practicing. Jason Wilde has more on how the Packers head coach is feeling about the star quarterback.
Packers quarterback Jordan Love and head coach Matt LaFleur would be the first to admit that what Jordan is doing in practice right now is not real football. He's not taking snaps, he's not facing a pass rush, but he is taking part in some drill work, which is an accomplishment considering a week ago today he was undergoing surgery in Los Angeles to repair a torn ligament in his left non-throwing thumb. And what Matt LaFleur has seen so far has been encouraging and, in his opinion, productive.
I thought it was good just to get him back out there, back in the mix, into the rhythm of playing quarterback. We did some different things with him that we haven't done in the past. I mean, we pretty much were primarily doing everything under center. So, yeah, I thought it was good work.
Now, I spoke to Jordan Love in the locker room for a few minutes today, and he said his hope is that he will get the stitches out of his thumb on Saturday. Now, obviously, he's not going to play in the preseason finale against the Seattle Seahawks that day, but it is another step toward him being able to do everything he's accustomed to doing with that thumb. Right now, it's hard just to put a long sleeve shirt on when he doesn't have his brace on because he's got to be very careful as he maneuvers through that sleeve. That's it from Lambeau Field for today. Remember, follow all of our coverage on channel3000.com for free. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, which delivers all of our Packers coverage directly to your inbox every single day. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Jason. That final preseason game is this Saturday at Lambeau. The Packers will take on the Seahawks with kickoff set for 3 p.m. Well, now to a quick programming note for you. Tomorrow, WISC-TV and Television Wisconsin will activate 2 new transmitters. This upgrade will provide antenna viewers with a better and clearer picture of programming. However, you will need to rescan your TV after the launch to receive this improved signal. It's pretty easy to do this. Open your TV's menu, select Settings, and then choose Channel Scan or Auto Tune. We also have all of these instructions on our website, channel3000.com/rescan. And a very important note, if you've already been having a regularly clear signal, there is no need to rescan. And ahead at 10, Alex tells us about our stretch of nice, dare I say perfect weather this week. And President Trump works to set up a trilateral meeting with Ukraine and Russia. What country could be hosting the negotiations? That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
The White House is working to set up a face-to-face meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin in the next 2 weeks. This comes one day after President Trump hosted European leaders in Washington, D.C. Torian Small has more.
President Trump is working to coordinate a meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin, which would be the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders since Russia invaded Ukraine.
There are many options that are being discussed by our national security team right now with both parties.
On Monday, as he hosted President Zelensky and European leaders at the White House, President Trump suggested he might take part in a meeting with the two leaders.
I'll set up a meeting with President Putin. And if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting. And not that I want to do that, but I will do that.
But on Tuesday, White House officials said the president thinks it makes sense for Putin and Zelensky to meet one-on-one.
The president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy.
The timing of the meeting remains uncertain, but the White House has indicated it hopes to solidify a plan by the end of the week. CBS News has learned Budapest, Hungary is among the locations under consideration to host talks. On Monday, President Trump discussed with President Zelensky security guarantees which would protect Ukraine from future Russian invasions. The White House said Tuesday those guarantees will not involve U.S. troops on the ground.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine.
The White House says the specifics of security guarantees are being negotiated. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
Well, the East Coast is bracing for the impact of Hurricane Erin right now. Tourists evacuated North Carolina's Outer Banks yesterday, and residents are headed to the mainland today. While authorities in New Jersey and New York's Long Island are not taking any chances following the death of a swimmer at the Jersey Shore last week.
This is no time to be complacent. I would just say to you flat out, don't go in the water.
Residents can expect life-threatening rip currents, large waves and surf, potentially reaching up to 10 to 12 feet, widespread dune erosion, and localized coastal flooding.
Forecast to grow in size, Erin won't make landfall, but is still expected to bring heavy rain and dangerous surf, as you heard, forcing some summer vacationers to make other plans. And back home in southern Wisconsin, a stretch of beautiful weather has started. Alex, do we have any more rain in the forecast?
We have a little bit of the rain in the forecast, but as you were saying, this beautiful stretch of weather is getting started, and it shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. That's part of the 3 things you need to know here. But Maybe the not such nice part is this patchy fog we're going to have to deal with tonight, and then going once again into tomorrow night. And then the nice weather will continue into the weekend, going out all the way into next week here. But that fog, we need to track that. As we move towards 3 o'clock in the morning, we start to see those dark gray colors. That's that fog building into the area. As we head towards 4 o'clock in the morning, Camp Douglas, your visibility and Viroqua is down to a half a mile. As we move further into the morning, 5:30, half-mile visibility in Viroqua and the Dells and Camp Douglas and in Madison. So some patchy, dense fog across the area, probably peaking right around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Half a mile visibility, a common number across much of southern Wisconsin. And fog can be very tricky, especially if you're up on a hill and then you go down into the valley and get into that dense fog. It can be a danger when it comes to commuting. So just take it easy tomorrow morning. The sun then will eventually work into that fog, burn it off, and then we'll have visibilities improved during the day. But first, to show you the visibilities for tomorrow night, this would be Wednesday night going into Thursday morning. We may have even further dense fog, meaning even lower visibilities as we go into Thursday morning. Just look at that, 1/8 of a mile visibility in the Dells and Lone Rock. Not shocking, though, because that's in the Wisconsin River Valley, where we often have a lot of fog pool. Right around 5:36, we could have visibility locally down to 0 as we go into Thursday morning. So be keeping a close eye on this. We may have dense fog advisories issued if our future track visibility model is going to pan out here. But that's the not such good stuff. Here's the good stuff. This is the temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. A touch on the muggy side yet Tuesday night. It'll stay a touch muggy through the end of the week, but then those big changes really will take hold as we head into Saturday going on into Sunday. Temperatures where they should be tomorrow in the 70s to near 80, but if that fog takes longer to burn off, we may stay in the low to mid 70s because that sun isn't able to make it to the ground to warm things up quite as much. That one chance of showers and thunderstorms, that's Friday night going into Saturday. Isolated storm chance with low temperatures around 62. And that's going to mark the end of this nice stretch, or excuse me, that's going to mark the end of the muggy stuff. And then we've got lows in the upper 40s, highs in the upper 60s. That's what you would expect at the end of September. So there's that Friday chance of a shower or a thunderstorm. And that's it. Otherwise, it's dry. I said at 6 I'd show you our rain gauges. We're at about 2 inches above normal here for the year, and for the month we're also at about 2 inches above normal as we continue to march our way through the end of August going on into September. And our muggy meter is going to show comfy conditions by the weekend, and temperatures, as we just mentioned, well below normal all the way through the 10-day. We'll leave you on this picture here. Again, thanks Lori from Janesville showing us this stunning photo. We've got that rainbow. And then behind the rainbow, if you're looking close enough there, you can scan your QR code too, so you can send us your photo just like Lori. If you look closely enough, that's a thunderbolt behind that rainbow sent to us from Lori in Janesville.
Beautiful.
It's a pretty stunning photo, and that contrast is there. The storm and the rainbow, with the rainbow being illuminated because the sun was coming out.
Exactly, and kind of like the storm and the rainbow with the Cubs and the Brewers, I suppose, right?
Absolutely. The NL Central battle is always a storm, and the Brewers had their chance to bolt their way to 2 wins today in a doubleheader, trying to extend their lead in the NL Central. The highlights from the Windy City next on News 3 Now. If you ask me, the only thing better than one game of baseball is 2. The Brewers played their first game of a twin bill against the second-place Cubs this afternoon. Milwaukee with a chance to extend their NL Central lead to 10 games, but in the fourth, they were trailing 5-0. Christian Yelich puts a dent in that lead with a moonshot to right field. His team leading 26th Tater of the season. The Crew had a chance to come all the way back, had 2 on in the 9th. But William Contreras can't play hero. The Cubs take the matinee 6-4. As for game 2, it looked good early for the Crew. Who else but Andrew Vaughn got them their early lead, driving in William Contreras with a laser single, but the lead didn't last. Cubs leading 3-1 in the 6th, and Bryce Terang can't make a really tough play. Chicago sweeps the day. They win game 2 4-1. Let's hoop. The non-conference slate for Robin Pingeton's first season at the helm for Wisconsin women's basketball. It came out today, and it is a statewide tour. The Badgers go to Marquette before hosting UW-Milwaukee and UW-Green Bay. It's all a part of Pingeton's plan to get the state's best hoopers to come to Madison. We are Billy Edwards days away, in other words, 9 days away from Wisconsin football. The Badgers are expecting a big year out of their new QB, who was put on the watch list for the Golden Arm Award, the annual award given to the nation's best upperclassman gunslinger. 6 days after receiving surgery, Jordan Love jumped back into practice yesterday. The QB will not play in this Saturday's preseason finale, but will get limited reps in the team's joint practice with the Seahawks later this week. As far as the rest of the team and their copious amount of injury concerns, the Pack have decided to peel back their workload.
We've kind of dialed back, I would say, just the workload for our players. We just felt like it was best for our team with the number of guys that we have out to kind of dial back a little bit. Unfortunately, never want to do that, but you want to keep pushing, but it is what it is. You got to adjust.
Week 1 of high school football, believe it or not, begins on Thursday and continues on Friday. News 3 Now is the place, as always, you'll want to be to see the highlights from all the biggest and best games from all around our area. That is 2 days away. But for another check of the forecast, you don't need to wait 2 days. It's more like 2 minutes. Alex is back next.
And finally tonight, we have a special kicker. Everybody check for Nimbus. This is just for Alex.
Yes.
Nimbus, the Siberian cat. Hilarious. He's been dubbed the king of late night zoomies. A cat. He's known for running around his house and making chaotic race car-like growls while flying by. So not only does the cat zoom, but the cat growls. More than 2.8 million followers on TikTok, and his most popular video you've seen, I think, here.
Yeah, oh,
it's
yes.
85 million times, I think about 5 million by Alex himself. According to Purina.com, Siberian cats are an active and playful breed that enjoy games like fetch or learning to do tricks and stimulate them mentally.
Well,
so they're smart.
Nimbus and I, we share a similar approach. When we have alert days, I get growly like that too.
Oh, do you? Oh, God. Yeah, you should see Alex in here doing the zoomies.
No more alert days.
I think they're over, though.
Yeah,
well, I shouldn't say that.
Well, at least for 10 days, thank goodness. We'll have temperatures in the 70s by the time we get to the weekend. Temperatures in the upper 60s. Those aren't lows, those are the highs. Sunday going on into Monday. So you won't be hearing Alex Nimbus growls back in the weather center for at least 10 days.
Not on air. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. For News 3 Now at 10, The Late Show is up next. Our next show is tomorrow morning at 4:30. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.